We are pain, that's all. We are God.
Hey guys! Part 7 of What If Naruto Died and Reincarnated as an Uchiha. Death has a funny way of coming back to bite you when you least expect it. Having lost the fourth shinobi war, Uzumaki Naruto is content to do just that, die and pass on to the afterlife. Unfortunately, the Shinigami has other plans for him. Plans that involve righting the wrongs of the past, restoring a broken clan, and creating a family all his own. NarutoxHarem. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 13, And Your Heart Shall Burn. Attacking a Biju head-on was reckless. Uzumaki Naruto had done many such things in his life, even before his rebirth as it were. He'd challenged the odds time and time again, always coming out on top no matter what fate threw at him. But this, taking on a giant turtle with nothing more than his eyes and Susanoo to protect him, this, went beyond reckless. Even further beyond. It was stupid and foolish and just damn arrogant. But with dozens of people and shinobi at his back, he didn't have a choice. In another life what felt like nearly an age ago now he'd once witnessed Madara laying waste to nearly all 9 Biju with a blink of the eye. But limbo wasn't something he'd mastered just yet, nor was it a technique was eager to use with a village of people at his back. His first instinct was to use his newfound wings to take flight, but he couldn't do that either, not without seriously risking the lives of his comrades. So, with that singular thought in mind he dug Susanoo's feet in, spread his arms, and braced himself for the charging tortoise. Victory isn't always certain. Sometimes we trip. Sometimes we stumble. Sometimes we fall. Sometimes the best of us burn. In this case, it was a Bijadama, the sudden swirl of energy exploding into life a mere moment before Isabu collided with him. Behind the armored helm of Susanoo, Naruto blanched, crossing both arms before his face a heartbeat too late. The detonation roared over him split second later. Oh, crap. Naruto didn't bother exclaiming his intentions, he simply flared the Rinnegan and pushed with all his might. For a moment, just a moment, he met resistance, but it held. Wait. Where was the turtle? That was all he had time for before said creature burst out of the soil, from behind Susanoo, poured on a burst of speed, tucked inward and rolled driving him headlong into the burgeoned explosion. Yup. He'd forgotten it could do that. Its armored shell ground against Susanoo's chakra-enhanced bone like one giant grater, chipping pieces away until he was physically forced to drop the giant body for a moment, allowing the blast to all but shoot by harmlessly below. By the time he'd reconstituted it, the turtle was already there, tackling him into the forest. Tum! Ground and soil entire acres of trees pushed against the giant's feet as he shoved the enraged demon away. Okay, ow wow wow. I'd forgotten what it was like to actually be pushed in this body. He glanced down, just now noticing the blood on his hands, scraped bare in reflection of his own injury. A grim parody of a once pleasant smile stretched across his face as he focused his attention on the titan before him, pearly white teeth flashing on the mist. You know, for the first time, I think I'm actually starting to enjoy myself. Yup, sometimes we fall down. And sometimes we get back up, dust ourselves off, and keep moving. Meanwhile, in an undisclosed location, Fugaku, the one-eyed Uchiha meekly raised his head in the darkness as his master called to him, trying and failing utmost to keep his scars hidden in the black. He knew he shouldn't be ashamed of the marks that had claimed most of his face, on the contrary, his master insisted that he should be proud. He was a true Uchiha, a survivor, the only one worthy to be mentored by his great ancestor. But how could he be proud, when he was forced to live like this? Here in this underground lair, cut off from the world, how was he to fulfill his destiny? A subtle pulse of chakra reminded him that his master still required his attention. You called, master. Humbly he approached the wooden throne, debasing himself before him. A wet cough answered. The impostor is fighting the Sanbai even as we speak. You must make certain that he does not. Suddenly that withered figure cocked his head, considering. No. It's too late. He already has it. In that case, I am sending you to IWA, I believe you know what do. After which, your destination is Konoha. You may do whatever you wish there, settle old grudges, I do not care. But you must bring me the Kyubi Jinchuriki. You cannot fail me in this, Fugaku. My time is running short. Fugaku barely heard him. His mind had seized upon a single fact, locked on the knowledge that he was free to do as he pleased. I can burn it to the ground. The entire village. Yes, my boy. By contrasts, the man's smile was almost fatherly. You can burn it all. Fugaku nearly cackled with glee. Then I will have my revenge on that brat. Naruto. Yes. No. That took the crippled Uchiha back. No, Madara-sama. No, the shriveled Uchiha replied, resting his chin upon a bony hand. I will be the one to kill him. Ever since he'd merged with this black Zetsu creature he'd become infinitely stronger, true, but no matter how much he might wish otherwise his scars always remained. Not just on his body but in his mind, his psyche still savaged by the deadly flames that had nearly claimed his life. It was those eyes. Those awful, horrible eyes. They gazed upon him and found him wanting, consigning him to defame and defilement. His clan had been there, and they had abandoned him. Mikoto had abandoned him, all because of him. That man. Traitor. Imposter. But now, it is time. Isabu was angry. It did not understand why it was losing, or how for that matter, only that it was. And that made it angrier still. Its mind was a jumbled mess from years of genjutsu and pain and suffering, all jagged and sharp edges, in no mood to heed its opponent's mental cry that it had to stop, that it knew him, if only it would listen, but it was not listening. Its mind was broken and shackled by his master, branded with but a single order, a lone command that it couldn't defy even if it wanted to, kill. And Naruto, for all his powers, was having a very difficult time bringing himself to do that. Oh, you Sunuvagak. Stop running around and hold still. Naruto choked in surprise as his blade met empty air, forcing him to spin and assume a ready stance once more. 3 water bullets followed, contemptuously cut down by the blazing azure blade in his grasp, but when he tried to strike out and cut down their own, Isabu proved to be deceptively fast. Watching it all, Mikoto's sweat dropped. It's like they're playing a giant game of whack-a-mole, gah. She winced slightly, laying a hand against her deceptively flat stomach, hissing softly at it. Why you little stop that. Don't come out now. By the time she'd raised her gaze most of the Konoha shinobi and even a few Kiri were giving her looks of varying disbelief. What? She gulped, a pang of almost comical dread overtaking her. It isn't anything. That was my quiet voice. You had no right to listen. Mikoto, Tsukumo began slowly, how far along did you say you were again? A few weeks. She lied. Without the genjutsu. I have no idea what you're talking about. You haven't let anyone see you since we left the village. Shikaku pointed out. The heiress was growing progressively redder by the moment, her face burning brightly beneath the dark halo of her hair. May blinked. Now that I look, it's obvious. You're not the best at genjutsu at the moment, are you? Not with a bun in the oven at any rate. I wonder if he's a one-woman kind of man. Mikoto's flush had now reached uninvented, nuclear levels. Ao balked. Lady May. Are you serious? What? If he kills Yagura, I'd be more than happy to open relations with the leaf. Mikoto wanted to die. She wanted a meteor to fall from heaven and strike her down now and send her to the afterlife. 'Cause anything was better than having her dirty laundry aired here before complete strangers. May's not-so-simple comment certainly didn't help matters any, either. Mo, kill me now, God. Shikaku and Inoichi deadpanned. Nope. Look, it's not my fault if the little bugger wants to come early. I thought this would be an easy mission. Open and shut. One last hurrah before I pop out a kid and get regulated to diaper duty. Not that she had an offense to bearing a child or anything, she simply hadn't expected the mission to take this long. What with the traveling and concealing her pregnancy from prying eyes through subtle, then increasingly blatant misuse of genjutsu. A collective sigh arose from the men. Then you'd better pray your fiancé wins. Growling, Naruto advanced on the sandby again, readying himself just as the turtle threw itself into another dizzying spin. This time it seemed, he was ready for its unstoppable assault. A harsh shout echoed out from the giant. Amaterasu. For the first time since the brawl had begun, the beast shrieked in pain. Its charge fell short as the black flames erupted against its eye, tearing into its cornea like a rusty knife. The massive beast went careening past the lot of them with only a few feet to spare, showering them in dirt as it spun and tried to roll again, seeking its target. It never made it. Alright, here goes nothing. He sidestepped the assault and swung as quickly as he dared, bowling the giant turtle over with one swipe of his blade and sending it skidding back through a mountain, crushing the edifice under its massive bulk. However, it quickly righted itself and clambered back to its feet as it were, unharmed. Ha! Tough little bastard. That's it. In a Hirito unseen move, he banished the ethereal blade and spread his arms wide, Susanoo's wingspan flaring behind him. Tsukumo balked. Is he? Mikoto grinned. I think so. Come at me bro. Shikaku's sweat dropped as Naruto's resonating shout snarled down at them. Yup. That sounds like him. Mei sighed. So manly. Oi, oi oi oi. Isabu did just as the Uchiha demanded, kanoniying into the giant with the force of a small typhoon. Naruto held his ground and the giant with him, giant hands closing around the massive abomination and grinding away. Slowing. Almost an unseen thing at first, barely perceptible, but there, sparks. Isabu kept spinning but slowly, its momentum grinding to a painful halt, until it stopped altogether. Realizing its mistake, the three-tailed turtle began to try every trick its addled mind knew to escape, desperately seeking the safety of the water. It writhed and thrashed, bucked and brayed, determined to be free, but Naruto refused to let go. A thundering snarl rose from Susanoo. Damn it, Isabu. I know you're stronger than me you damn thing, but, I cannot, will, not, lose. Ora! With a final, monumental howl, he gripped the creature's soft underbelly and heaved with all his might, hurling it away. It was a very good throw, everyone thought. Freed from the earth, the Biju went sailing up, 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 and then down, down, down. A giant hand placed itself in front of the town as the shrieking monstrosity crashed down into the water, the massive limb, blocking it from the ensuing tidal wave. All round them the land splintered and tore but the little fishing village remained, thanks to the impenetrable blue bulwark thrust before them. When at last the smoke and thunder had died, the giant simply picked itself back up and lumbered towards its prey. Isabu offered a meek whine from where it lay on its back, lacking the means or the will to right itself. Well, that was anticlimactic. Naruto staggered upright, balanced the giant's weight on his right foot, and cut down. I'll take it from here. To his surprise the creature flowed right up his blade, physically drained away as though it had never existed. It flowed right up the arm and to the Uchiha's disbelief, into him. His stomach. He felt his chakra coils strain just a bit, twitching, as they swelled to accommodate their new tenant. Yagura's body was left behind, emptied of its Biju, still and dead as the shattered landscape behind it. Naruto felt a passing twinge of regret for the life he'd unintentionally taken, then came the confusion. This didn't make any sense. None. Okay, what? He supposed he still had a Ghost of the Reaper death seal placed upon him, but he hadn't been trying to draw anything into it. More than that, it was empty. He'd run out of the last vestiges of Kurama's chakra a long time ago, nearly a month now. He hadn't been the one to pull the sanbai inside of him. Someone else had. Well, that narrowed the culprits to two. Don't look at me, partner. Yami Naruto cried as Naruto turned his attention on him. Blame the bitch. The who? My thanks for the meal. Sure enough the woman's voice purred back at him, leaving him with the distinct sensation of someone smacking their lips after a well-finished meal. That was, delicious. Well done, that. Only 8, no. 7 I suppose, given how much of the fox's chakra I took, more to go. I suppose returning in a diminished capacity is better than none at all. Keep up the good work. There was a silence as Naruto's brain processed. What the hell did you do? Oh, many things. She replied flippantly, and in a sudden moment of clarity he saw white hair in his mind's eye. I modified your seal, cleared away a bit of clutter, used it to take in the essence of the sanbai and make it my own. Now, I need not fear wasting away while you work. It has made you several times more powerful as well. You may thank me, if you wish. Naruto felt his eye twitch. He wasn't feeling very thankful at the moment. Within good reason. Alright, enough's enough. Who are you? I'm terribly sorry dear, but I'm afraid I don't feel like telling you that just yet. You might react poorly. Just like that the pressure abated, leaving him to wonder at its source. Oh, don't pout. I suppose I'll leave you with a hint. I am a ghost, someone who once was, and still may yet be once again. Great. Now, his deadpan was barely concealed. So I have a ghost of some dead lady in my head. So comforting. And are you so different? White eyes stared back at him from the abyss, a pair of full lips quirking in a smile, oddly familiar. You, who have come back from death itself and become more than what you ever were, an Uchiha now in body and blood yes, but still an Uzumaki at and in the soul. Do you not realize how close you are to me? 7 steps will make you a god. The world will be yours to do with as you see fit. If you do not want war, then, there will be no war. None of this meaningless trivial illusions that Madara wanted. Peace. Genuine, actual, peace. And if I don't want to be a god? He replied. He knew firsthand the kind of corruption power like that could bring. She huffed, put out by his reluctance. You have no say in the matter. It is to be. You're awfully pushy. Anybody ever telling you that? Yes. But worry not. Suffice it to say we share a common goal. I only desire to see you succeed in that very goal, which is mine as well. And who knows, you just might find yourself in the favor of a goddess, by the end. Goodbye for now, mate of mine. We shall speak again. It was impossible to tell, but in that instant, he could have sworn he felt lips brush his ear. Then she was gone, her presence slipping through his hands even as he tried to pin her down. He was really beginning to wonder who she was. Ah, but there were other matters to attend to. Banishing Susanoo he dropped down into the water, effortlessly alighting upon its surface. Yagura stared back at him, laying adrift in the deep. Once more, Naruto felt his heart lurch. He'd only met Yagura briefly but it still hurt knowing he'd essentially killed a fellow Jinchuriki. Just a reminder that Uzumaki Naruto still existed inside him, not the Uchiha everyone thought he was. What he was about to do made that heart turn to ice and shatter, but he knew it had to be done. Long time no see. He said dropping his haunches. No offense, but you look like shit. Why? Sorry, Naruto felt just a prickling of pity as he reached down for the dying Mizukichi. I didn't mean to kill you. It just happened. I know you think I'm heartless, but this is the only way to figure out who did this to you. To find out who keeps pulling the strings. Rest in peace, old friend. Before the half-dead Yagura had a chance to wonder what he meant by that the Uchiha placed a hand to his head and pulled. Rinnegan flaring he reached down deeper than most men dared found the flickering essence that was once Yagura's soul, and pulled. Ah yes, his mind was quite forthcoming. What? There must have been a mental block of some sort in his mind, because he instantly found his attention sucked inwards into a place that was neither here nor there. In a dark cave, in the black of night, he stared at his age-old enemy. I knew it was you, Naruto. The old man's voice was like an amplified whisper. If a knife could talk, this would be what it sounded like. He pointed one long, bony finger at him, chuckling dry. I had my suspicions, but this irony truly does hate the two of us, doesn't it? I cast back into this withered shell and you, wielding all my strength, all my powers. He wasn't surprised. Not really. It stood to reason that Madara, of all people, would find some way to claw his way back from the Reaper's stomach. Assuming that was the case, care to tell me how you're here? Death is a two-way street for beings like us, boy. Came the mysterious reply. He paused, considering. Then he nodded. You make a fine Uchiha. I can see the death in your eyes. It stains your very soul. Tell me, how many have you killed using my gifts, Does it make you feel proud? The blonde bristled at the accusation, revulsion warring with spite. I am not an Uchiha. These abilities are a means to an end. Nothing more. The withered warrior leaned back with a creak of bone. Perhaps not yet, but you will be, in time. It makes you dangerous. That's why you have to die. Save me the speech. A glove hand shot up, waving through the watery image. What do you want? Want? That actually got a blink from the one-eyed codger. I want what I've always wanted. A world where there are no losers, where there is no wa. Please tell me you're not going to start the moonside plan again. When the latter refused to answer, Naruto nearly laughed. Oh. Oh. My. God. You're pathetic. You're still living in a fantasy world, ignoring reality, says the fool parading around as an Uchiha. Came the thundering reply. I didn't ask for it. That's the difference. Yet you don't hesitate to make use of it. Madara sneered. Admit it, Naruto, you enjoy it. He shambled down off the wooden throne with a dark chuckle and hobbled towards him, looking him square in the eye. All the power, the prestige, the entire village down on bended knee, licking your boots, it's what you always wanted. Everyone has an eye out for you now, everyone either wants you to be their shining knight, or their darkest fear. And you love it. All this attention, the adulation you never had. Lies. Naruto didn't let it show, didn't reveal just how closely those words had struck to home. Exhaling, he spun away, pushing past the block and probing deeper into Yagura's subconscious. I don't need to justify myself to you. Heavens no, of course you don't. I don't care if Shi has chosen you Uzumaki, you will fail, and I will succeed. This time, there will be no death god to save you. Ignoring the inane urge to ask just who Shi was, the former blonde glared bloody red daggers at the ancestral Uchiha, refusing to back down. I could say the same, this time you won't succeed. You poor fool. You don't even know, do you? You'll die last for that, imposter. And with that, the vision was gone. Naruto jerked back to himself, scowling. Yagura knew nothing. Less than nothing. Even pulling out his soul seemed to have distanced him even further from his goal. Yes, he knew that Madara was back, and yes, he knew that the man was still gunning for him, and yes, he was being a gigantic prick about it, but that did nothing to tell him where he was, what he was doing, or what he was up to. Knowing the final outcome was only good as long as you knew how to stop it at all. Fucking Madara, why can't you just stay dead? Madara? Naruto spun around so fast he was almost certain he'd given himself whiplash. Tsukumo Hatake stared back at him, his expression questioning. How much of that had he heard? None of it was particularly damning, but it could still bring up all sorts of unwanted questions, and he didn't want to go around poking that particular hornet's nest just yet. You might want to get back to the village. The whitehead jerked a thumb over his shoulder. Mikoto's going into labor. Wait, what? Faster than a speeding kunai and ignoring the snickers of his two occupants, Naruto bolted back towards the village. A small tent had been erected on the outskirts in his absence, near which he could see a number of Kiri shinobi gathered. He sped inside, somewhat alarmed to find Mikoto within, Shikaku and Inoichi, as well as a very baffled Yorochi, the young girl standing guard over her prone, gasping form. And, oh. The green-eyed vixen blinked. The conquering hero returns, just in time. Naruto brushed past her, hurrying to the Blackette's side. Yorochi cocked her head aside. Daddy? Oh, that was a can of worms he did not want to open right now. What in blazes is going on? The heiress stuck out her tongue, grimacing. Yeah, remember that bit about being pregnant? Distantly, he felt the beginnings of a frown pulling at his lips. Yes. I might have used henge and a bit of genjutsu to make it seem like I wasn't that far along. And she grimaced as another contraction hit. Do I need to spell it out for you? Somewhere in the back of his brain, wires crossed. Oh fuck all kinds of duck. Language. Sorry, dear. And as for you, she poked Naruto in the chest, reaching up to grab him by the collar of his flak jacket. You put this thing inside of me, you are going to be here when I deliver it. Several agonizing hours later, Tsukumo had never seen Naruto so flustered before in all his life. Well, never heard really, seeing as Naruto had yet to leave the tent. Mikoto's cries and his yelps of pain however, rang quite clearly through the gathered ensemble of guards and allies. Truth be told, it was the first time he'd heard the annoyingly little bugger be anything other than smug. Truth be told, he rather enjoyed it. Immensely. Arg. Hate you. Hate you so much right now. Sangamaru, clan head of the Kagaya, arched a bright eye, his white brow nearly brushing the twin red dots in his forehead. That is the wife of the Black Death, is it not? She certainly seems to have a loud voice, if nothing else. Tell Bonehead to shut it or I will fucking end him. Impossibly the man wasn't offended by the heiress's angry shout. If anything, he seemed excited by her vitriol. I like her. She has spurt. I pray her husband is as strong as the rumors claim. Hataki managed to feign a look of summary nervousness at that. Yes, well, you'll see soon enough. Now, as you were saying, Kagayadano. Ah, yes, I was saying something, wasn't I? We would be honored to fight beside someone so mighty as the Black Death. His head bobbed sagely, the white curtain of his tresses jerking sharply from the motion. I have only one desire beforehand, to witness his strength for myself. Oh, that'll be no problem. He led the eager man, more of a battle freak, really, aside from the speculative Kiri shinobi. Here, why don't we formalize it in writing? Bah, I always hated paperwork. Negotiations with the Kagaya were well underway, the clan having been drawn by the conflict against the Sanbai to what the leader was even now calling a battle for the ages, but alas, Naruto was not there to conduct or formalize the treaty. No, he was busy tending to other matters. Push. I'm pushing, you insufferable bastard. I blame you for this. You put this thing in me. Come on, Mikoto-chan, don't be like that, ow. That's my hand. Oh, I'm so sorry, that hurts. I'm fine. Came the strangled cry. I'm not going anywhere, alright? An equally pained whimper followed as a head of black hair peered out of the tent. Don't. Squeeze. I'd rather not have an arm in a cast. Push. With a final, agonizing scream, Mikoto did. Mei cried out seconds later. It's a boy. Sakumo gulped at the silence that followed. He could only imagine what was taking place in the tent right now. A dad. I'm a dad. Well, this feels weird. Don't faint, dear. Mikoto crooned. I'm trying. Naruto stared down at the tiny pink face, gulping slightly. His child stared back up at him with wide, dark eyes. The Uchiha valiantly fought off tears, but to no avail, they poured from him like a leaky dam as he bid hello to the small life he'd unwittingly helped bring back into this world. He gazed down at the small face, that little body swaddled in white cloth. His heart lurched. The kid had been born early, very early in fact, yet he looked perfectly healthy. Mikoto beamed, her sweaty face looking like sunshine to his eyes. Welcome to the world. She cooed, nestling the small bundle in her arms. Even if you decided to come a little early. Naruto flicked a thought at one of his clones, setting the doppelganger to tending her delicate, exhausted body. Inoichi and Shikaku had fainted dead away, evidently unaccustomed to witnessing the birth of a child, and Naruto silently resolved to remind them of their lack of fortitude at every turn. Wait. The baby. Why wasn't he crying? Mei leaned over him. Just a moment, he has just a little fluid in his lungs. Ah, there we go. Wah. Naruto jumped, startled by the vehemence of the boy's cry. Whoa. He's a loud one, Mikoto murmured, just like his father. Wow. Yoruichi peeked over the bed, her golden eyes shining. He's so tiny. Does that make me a big sister? Mikoto shot Naruto a dangerous look, a look that said you will be explaining this later, before returning her attention to the caramel-skinned girl. Well, since it seems my husband does have a habit of picking up strays and little sisters during his travels, so I suppose it does. You wound me. Naruto found himself sputtering. It's not my fault, I have a soft spot for kids. A very soft spot. Came the pouting reply. Libel. Have you thought of a name? Mei asked, restraining a smile. Just like that, Mikoto perked up, the baby's cries having quieted while she rocked him gently to and fro. As a matter of fact, yes. Naruto felt his ears prick, standing at attention. Oh. You never mentioned that before. What'll it be, then? Please tell me we're not naming him Sasuke. That got him a strange look. Actually, I was thinking, Itachi. Itachi. Ha. I like that name. You'd better. She huffed. It's your turn to hold him. Wah. No. I'll drop him. There's no way, independent Ohio. His protests died away as Mikoto offered him his son. Pulling the small infant into his arms, he dared a smile, his first true smile, since coming to this time period. The infant in his arms, burbled happily. It seemed impossible, but he thought he saw a gleam of recognition in those small, dark eyes. And just like that, he was lost. Ship sunk, floundering on the shore. Any fears he might have had at being a father, all but withered away, replaced by, honestly. He wasn't sure what. It didn't seem possible to love someone at first sight, but this boy, his son, God's, my son. Hey, Itachi. It was, he decided, the greatest moment of his life. And it would also be one of the last. All around them, Konoha burned, a candle in the night. Naruto spun away from the masked man, biting back a low growl as yet another bruise formed on his arm. Fast. Solid, too. Even blows from the incomplete Susanoo seemed to bounce off of him, almost as if he were physically thick-dense somehow in this reality. Grabbing him was near impossible. It was the complete antithesis of Obito's power. And that worried him. He'd worked so hard to make certain that Obito never became the masked man, but it seemed fate had other designs for him if this stranger was any indication. He didn't understand it at all. They'd come back to find the village in flames, but instead of an army attacking, it was just one man. One man who, apparently, commanded the Yonbi. They'd come home to find the beast rampaging within their very wells, and though it had been easily beaten back thanks in part to the standby water and lava not mixing well and whatnot, the true threat still remained an irritant. And he was tearing through their forces, through him, as though they were ranked genin. That was troubling. Who the hell are you? Naruto growled, ducking an unwieldy thrown tree branch. What do you want? Don't remember us, do you? The masked stranger merely laughed, his lone eye twinkling out from a hold the black mask, opposite the one Obito should have worn. How you humiliated us. Demeaned us. Shamed us. Well, now we plan to do the same to you. That's right. A scarred hand thrust forward, pointing at him imperiously. We know who you are, boy. We know. And we will have you pay for what you did to us. Ice ran up Naruto's spine to the base of his skull. That voice. You're insane. He countered. They circled one another, two predators, waiting for the right moment to strike. And you're an imposter. The masked man said. A fake. Fraud. How does it feel, Black Death, to know that, after coming so far, you are about to lose everything you once held dear? Naruto reached behind his back, his hand already forming the seals that would punch a hole through the madman. I won't lose anything if I kill you. But can you, I wonder? Before he could blast him to pieces, the man pulled something out of his voluminous robe. Scarlet hair flashed in the moonlight. A chain rattled. No. Not something, he realized. Someone. Naruto froze. A soft voice reached his ears. Her voice. Naruto, run. In that instant, running was the last thing on his mind. Kushina. Put her down. Oh, no, 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 the madman tittered softly, wagging a finger, you're not the one giving us orders. Not anymore. Growling, the masked Uchiha jerked his victim back on the chain, drawing her closer to him, shackled as she was to his arm. The woman snarled virulently and kicked at him, only to yelp in pain as he backhanded her, cackling madly. Ah, feisty. The things we could do to you, but, first, your BGGAH. Her head snapped backwards, producing a thin crack in his mask. Naruto arched an eyebrow. A vulnerability. He could be caught off guard. So foolish, he crooned, stroking her face. So full of fire. We will enjoy breaking you. Go fuck yourself, traitor. She snapped back. Traitor? That lone eye blinked, indignant. You're wrong, my dear. He. Another jab at Naruto. He is the traitor. Bullshit. She is important, to you, no. He sneered, roving eye sweeping back to Naruto. Yes, we can see it in your face. Perhaps we should make you feel what we felt when we lost everything that day. Yes. A knife appeared in his hand, its naked edge pressing gently against the pale flesh of her jugular. She went still. Maybe you should lose her, Then you will know pain. Then, perhaps, you will understand. Naruto jerked half a step forward, a muscle jumping in his jaw. If you touch her, I'll tear you apart. If he could just cut the chain. We do not fear death. The masked man answered quickly, moving so that his victim was between him and the reborn Uchiha. But you wouldn't hurt her. We know this. You're soft. Weak. But if you do not care if she dies, we will remove her. Quickly. He began to move the knife. Fugaku. The name tore from his throat in a snarl, evoking the man's name. Do it. See what happens. Do not call us that. The masked man shrank back, pulling his hostage with him. That is not our name anymore. We are pain. We are more. We are greater. We are better than you. If you believe that, drop her and face me like a man. Never. Venom colored the man's tone. We will not be fooled by your tricks. Not this time. There was a silence. We are, all of us, the sum of our parts. Naruto said at last, his shoulders slumping. Only a coward hides behind a hostage. Fugaku jerked the knife, eliciting a gasp from his victim. Naruto flinched, lowering his head to glower at his feet. The kunai clattered out of his grasp with a resounding clang. All right, when he raised his gaze, there was resignation in his stare. Put her down. I'll do what you want. The crazed Uchiha grinned behind the mask, his grip slackening, just a bit. Yes, we knew you would see it our way. Sorry. You lie. His head jerked down, boring into Kushina's furious gaze, forcing her to look at him. Come, Kyubi. Kushina spasmed. No. Ha. Now you will know. He never got to finish that sentence, because the world imploded. Rinbo Hengoku. The next thing Fugaku knew, he was flying back, his head now adorned by something better described as a dent than a face. The next thing he knew, he was knocked upwards. A blinking blue light was growing larger at the end of his vision. The next, he was knocked back down. And the next thing Fugaku, traitor to Konoha, knew, for quite some time after that, was pain. When he finally recovered, when he finally realized where he'd been flung, when his broken mind finally scrabbled together enough sense to see what was happening, he found himself staring into the unholy eyes of the Rinnegan. He'd been flung clear out of the village, he realized, his body impaled upon a series of pointed tree roots far beyond the outskirts of the savaged Konoha. Then, to his dismay, those roots bent, trapping him to the ground, dinging him. Mokuton. When had he? Talk about irony. Naruto alighted only a few feet away, looking like death. There was nothing in those eyes. Like death they swept over him, finding him wanting. You, his voice was like ice, jagged and cruel, cutting him to ribbons with words alone. You die slowly. What are you doing? Through his bleary eye he could see the impostor biting his thumb, making hand signs, even as he dragged himself off the roots, staggering upright. He was preparing something, some massive jutsu that drained his reserves by half. But to what purpose? He had to know his body was immune to such. You've done it now. He rumbled. I never wanted to bring this out, I never wanted people to see this side of me. Wham! A boot shot out, catapulting him into the forest. It's like I live in a world of cardboard. Always taking constant are not to breaking something here in the past, to break someone. I will break, you. Snarling, Fugaku surged upright. Naruto blurred, and he found himself down again, the earth cratering beneath his back. Shattered spine. Broken pelvis. The wounds healed almost instantaneously, but even then, there was no respite to be found in the onslaught. Tum! The earth cried out as the reborn Uchiha's fist summoned Susanoo and obliterated half the forest in a single swing, sending the severed halves of Fugaku/Tobi sprawling. Naruto stomped after him without so much as a care in the world, a lone raisin shuriken circling in his hand. With flick of his fingers, he let it fly, lobbing it at the already reforming hybrid. Shing! Fugaku shrieked as he found himself torn into 1,000 pieces and forcibly reconstituted, broken, reform, and broken again. Chains of chakra shot up from the earth, tethering him in place, shackling him against what new horrors the blonde had prepared for him. But you? You can take it, can't you, big man? His voice was a sneer, crackling like a whip. What we have here is a rare opportunity for me to vent, to cut loose and show you exactly what I can do. The atrocities I can commit. The beings I can summon. Like this. Kuchiyos no Jutsu. A great, towering shape rose up out of the ensuing plume of smoke, its great black bulk rearing back. Streaks of jagged blue adjourned his massive bulk, seeming to writhe and shift as he looked on. Slavering jaws gave way, parting to explosive massive teeth as large as he was tall. A throaty rumble gusted from its throat, blasting away the smoke with a single snort. What was this creature? Oni. Devil. Demon. Akuma. He tried to find some word to classify the phantom being of death hovering over him, its wings blotting out the very stars themselves, and found nothing. Eerie golden eyes regarded him, and found him wanting. Hello, little man. Naruto raised a finger and uttered 2 words. Acnologia. Destroy. In the hell that followed those 2 words, Fugaku realized something. He knew pain. But this dragon was pain, tossing him about like a ragdoll, teeth piercing him, breath puncturing his formerly impenetrable hide as if it were made of wet driftwood. He was torn and mangled and torn again, ripped apart by the Lord of all dragons until, what felt like an eternity later, the creature was finally satisfied. Then, and only then, did he experience death. A trembling hand closed around his face, lifting him up, shattering the mask like glass. Odd. Something was pulling at him now. No, wait, he was looking at his body from the outside, which meant, what did that mean anyway? Are you satisfied now, bastard? Distantly he heard the imposter's voice, broken and angry. You sick, fuck-mothering piece of shit. Are you happy? She's dead. You killed her. Fugaku chuckled wearily, savoring the look of anguish in his opponent's eyes. Good. Now it was done. Now he would know. Now he would experience the soul-wrenching agony of losing someone to fate. Then, pain. An unholy roar answered him. Your soul is mine. What felt like an eternity later, the village finally some semblance of order. The morning sun peeked its head out amidst the carnage, peering down into a village that was beaten, but not broken. One man felt as if he were. Uchiha Naruto stood in the wreckage, fingers holding Kushina's wrist, straining in vain to catch her fluttering pulse. The screams and wailing drifting up to him from the street, the pops of sparking wires from the telephone poles. He heard it all, tried to breathe, and yet, he couldn't. It was the sound of what happened when you thought you knew better than the people who wrote the rulebooks. It was the sound of consequences. And someone had paid the price. Unbidden, the words came back to him. You could be a god. I don't want to be a god. He growled, forming the signs, I want her back. Hands outstretched towards her, fingers clenched. Rinne Tensei no. Before he could even finish channeling the chakra, before the jutsu could even be enacted, she stirred. Naruto froze. No. That was impossible. He'd put Kurama back, but the strain had killed her. She'd been dead. So, it had to be impossible. There was just no feasible way that she should be here without a sacrifice of some sort on his part, without. You're welcome. The woman's voice fluttered in his ear, a butterfly, taking flight. I just spared you losing half your lifespan. Bright eyes fluttered open. Hey, Kushina groaned in his arms, what did I miss, Tebane? Naruto coughed quietly, fighting back a sob. Oh, nothing, Tebeo. I love it when you say that. Just don't talk for a minute. He rushed down and embraced her, fearing she might evaporate if he let go. Irk. Kushina cried. What happened? What did I miss? Did I die? What the MMPH? She badgered him with questions, but he didn't have the strength to try and answer any of them. He simply kissed her, and she melted against him like lava, brushing his tears away. She was back. She was alive. And that was all that mattered. They stayed like that for a very long time. A/N, okay, I lied. Naruto didn't lose anyone but he came damn close. There you have it. This story keeps changing things endless. No one sees him for what he really is, and more he's losing pieces of himself. He remembers what he once was, but more and more he's starting to see just how much a mess he's walked into. On the plus side, our heroes attracted attention, and unknowingly started to ensnare hearts untold. Tsunade's basically admitted she finds Naruto to be a good person at heart, and he's completely flabbergasted over such an admission. Wonder what'll happen. What fate awaits our heroes? Find out next time on Die Another Day. On another note, the pairing has officially been decided. Although I will gladly take any other recommendations that are offered. Kushina's officially fallen for him. So too have others. A harem was voted for overwhelmingly Heirace, so I'll try to keep it realistic here. folks. That's right, there will be multiple girls vying for Naruto's affection here. Whom will he meet next? So, in the immortal words of Atlas. Review, would you kindly? Sadly, only a small preview this time. 'Tis a surprise. And there be two. Preview. Naruto looked like he was about to bolt. Sarutobi didn't blame him, he'd called him here to deliver a mission report, but for Orochimaru to be here, well, it killed two birds with one stone. He had a mission to give him, and at the same time, he could gauge his reaction to the news he'd just given the Uchiha. You want me, to be Hokage? By contrasts, Orochimaru looked stricken. When the war is over, of course, Hiruzen stifled a cough behind his hand. You've done much for this village and its people, the recent attack notwithstanding, their trust in you runs deeper than ever. And I understand that congratulations are in order. How is little Itachi? Well, sir. I trust his grandfather looks forward to seeing his new heir. Naruto colored. Right. Talking with the clan heads. There was a discussion he was looking forward to. So there we are, unless you have another recommendation. Yeah, no. I refuse. What? This is unexpected. Naruto glanced to the shinobi at his side. Looking back, the decision was obvious. The Orochimaru of his day would have been a terrible Hokage. But the one standing beside him was different, he'd stepped off the path of power and taken more than a few steps toward the light. The man standing beside him was one he'd gladly call friend, he'd share a drink with him any day. And with that, he knew what needed to be done. I nominate Orochimaru in my place. What? The pale man practically exploded, such was his surprise. Naruto-kun, what are you? Zip it. Let me talk. Naruto didn't need to look to feel those golden eyes burning into his back, assessing him as he stepped forward, hands on the old man's desk. Regardless, he made his case. Look, I really appreciate the honor, but let's face it. I don't deserve it. I haven't even been here a full 2 years yet and, I really suck at paperwork. I belong in the field. Not behind a desk. I don't have the trust of the people anywhere else. But Roki here, he nudged the pale Sannin beside him, he has all the experience I lack. He's been a Konoha shinobi for years, the people know him. More importantly, they're not terrified out of their wits by him. And you're certain of this? Yup. They would love him as he is now. Naruto exhaled mightily. Fuck it. Grumbling, he spun and strode away, darting out the window. Mei balked, hurrying after him. Wait, where are you? Oh, the usual. Just going to kill an ancient, evil Uchiha. Wipe out a village. That sort of thing. I'll be home for dinner. Biting his thumb he slapped his hand down on empty air. All the stops. Every last one. He was determined to do this before his better judgment got him in another bind, before Madara could strike again. With that in mind, he reached deep, and summoned a force that made the world quiver. A deafening roar greeted his summons, his feet alighting on a great, broad back. Come, Aljuin. That's it for part 7. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.